Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Well, that sounds a lot better, doesn't it? Sounds like the sound settings are better. 20 seconds to go, and then we begin. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. Friday morning already. It's as if the week only started yesterday. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It's the 2nd of January. We're back with the 11 a.m. show, Central European time, and we've got a lot to get through. I know it's been fairly quiet over Christmas and New Year. People have been off at the Hamptons eating their caviar and drinking their champagne, but we are back today. It's a Friday, so it's actually the last show of the week. We streamed yesterday, as we said we would do, and I watched that stream back, and considering the amount of sleep I had, I don't think it was too bad a stream. But we've got a lot to get through today because this is the start of a new year. It's not any Friday. This is the start of 2026. We've got the X-Files, as you'd expect. We're going to be talking today about Tether being one of the largest holders of Bitcoin. Why is that important? We're going to be talking about Sol domination, Solana domination. We're going to talk about XRP getting back to $5 in 2026. Anybody want that? Any takers for that? We're going to be talking about Chainlink again. We're going to be talking about YBSC, yield-bearing stablecoins. We're going to be talking about Deep Hype. We're going to have a look at that project, and we're going to talk about 2 for 26. 2 picks for 2026, according to the experts, and I'm going to tell you if I agree with them or not. Now, you can see I have taken the decorations down. There's no Christmas tree. There's no lights. It's just me, the warm fire, and your rosy glow. And that rosy glow happens to be Tariq, hidden in chat. We've got BNB. We've got Baxi over on Binance Square. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. My internet is a bit wobbly today, so I've closed down Binance Square's chat. I've not got that open. But if you are in chat, you are here, say hello. I do read the comments back after the stream. Say hello. Also, don't forget to follow us. We broke 10,000 followers on Binance Square yesterday, I think. Now, that might now sound like a huge number. We had 200,000 followers on Binance Live. We've only been streaming on Binance Square for a couple of months, not even that. So big things expected from 2026 for Crypto Warehouse and Binance Square. We're looking forward to that. Mary, good morning, Mary. I hope you're well. Happy New Year to you and Danny. I hope you're both doing incredibly well. Now, a few things before we kick off. I have produced a smorgasbord of videos to do today, hopefully. I've got one about Man City versus Chelsea, which isn't really crypto related. I have a Wolf Swap video to do about their token swap to PAC. We're going to talk about Maple predictions in another video. I've got 5 predictions for Maple Finance. And then I've got a Crow video. Now, a lot of people ask about Crow. And this is an interesting one, okay? Now, we are on Binance Square. So the majority of what we talk about on Binance Square has to be tokens that are listed on Binance. So the real reason we don't talk about Crow on these streams in particular is the token isn't listed on Binance. It's not that we've stopped talking about it, making videos about it, tweeting about it. It's the fact it's not listed on Binance, so we don't make it a part of the show. And I think that's a fair compromise. Binance is the biggest exchange in the world, and I don't want to sit here and talk about 10 tokens that are not listed on Binance because that's not going to help people on Binance Square now, is it? However, I am making a video about Crow and what 2026 holds for Crow. And then the next video I'm going to make, and this is an interesting one, because these are my predictions for 2025. And my predictions, I don't think I did too badly. Good morning, Danny, and good morning to KB. Now, I'm going to tell you what my predictions were for 2025 before we begin the stream, and then you guys can see how close I was. The first target, or the first prediction, was Bitcoin to break $114,000. and go some ways towards $150,000. That was my Bitcoin target. And I said the all-time high would be in November 2025. Now, we got to 126,000 and it was October the 10th. I'd say that's a 6 out of 10 prediction. My next prediction is excluding Solana and XRP, which of the ETFs were going to go live in 2025. And because we have our resident Litecoin bull, I picked Litecoin for Tariq. And of course, we have got our Litecoin ETF. I'd still give that one a 6 out of 10 because that was pretty obvious. The next one was profit, not speculation. That was my big target for 2025. And I said in the video, I think I made it exactly a year ago, I said people are going to stop looking at meme coins and start looking at projects which have just started and start to look at projects that make a revenue and make a profit. And I think that's a solid 8.5, 9 out of 10, because that's exactly what has happened. You're seeing all of these really famous X accounts, really famous YouTubers talking about look at revenue growth, look at profits. And majoritively that came out of the fact that the men in suits were coming to crypto. And men in suits want profits because that's what they think is the most important thing about a project. So I'm going to give myself a big 8.5 out of 10 for that one. My next one was more tokens other than Bitcoin were going to be added to the strategic reserve. And this is a contentious one because this happened in February and March. And Brad Garlinghouse led the way trying to get XRP into the Bitcoin strategic reserve, remove the word Bitcoin, call it a strategic reserve. It all kicked off. And Brad was kind of kicked out of the White House. So I'm going to give myself another 8.5 out of 10 for that one, because even though it didn't come true, it would have come true had the likes of Charles and Michael Saylor not stepped in and said, no, you have to stick with Bitcoin. But I do think in 2026, there will be some form of strategic reserve in America that holds coins other than Bitcoin. So I'm going to give myself a good score for that one. And the next one, Sam Bankman-Fried pardoned. This is the one which I'm going to give myself a 1 out of 10 for and a 9 out of 10 for. And the reason I'm giving myself a 1 out of 10 is because he never got released. But a 9 out of 10 because not only was it the craziest, wackiest prediction of 2025, it was the one that's almost come true. There are murmurings that he's going to be released this year. So it's a 1 out of 10 if he doesn't get released. It's a 9 out of 10 for me and my crystal ball if he gets released in 2026. So they were my predictions for 2025. I'm going to make another set of predictions for 2026. And again, these aren't probably going to be as wild and outlandish as people think. One of them, which I kind of gave away yesterday, is I think Bitcoin is going to finish 2026 at a higher price than it started 2026, which in a bear market year is quite a bold prediction. But as I said many, many times, I think we've carried out the majority of the downward move already. 126 to 88,000. That's the majority of the move. If we go to 70, which was the previous all-time high, that's only another third of the way down. So I think we've pretty much done most of this move. So they were my predictions. Now, I suppose we should get in and have a look at some charts. I'm making sure I do this stream correctly today. Bitcoin's on a bit of a bounce. We're up to almost $90,000. Look at that bounce. Ethereum's back over $3,000. BNB is back above $870. XRP, I'm not even going to be happy with XRP until it's back above $2. Solana back almost at 130. Cardano back at 36.5 cents. It seems to be fending off Bitcoin Cash for now. In fact, Cardano is up nearly 8%. Not bad, Cardano. Not bad. What is Hype doing? $24.80. Again, I think I picked 5 coins yesterday, didn't I? 5 coins. One of them was Chainlink. One of them was Hype. One of them was Aster. I tried to pick coins that were outside of the top 10. Otherwise, it would have been a gimme. And I think they're going to do really, really well this year. Now, gainers then. Aerodrome, just under 50 cents. Absolute steal. And I don't care whether we're in a bull or a bear market. I would stack DEXs. I would stack coins that make profit. That should be the goal of 2026 for you guys. There's a lot of meme coins leading the way, and that's never a good sign, in my opinion. Meme coins pumping, it's like the canary in the tunnel. Other coins that are not meme coins that are up, Pump is up, Virtuals is up, Maple is back at 37 cents. Ondo back above 40 cents. Maple and Ondo were two of the other coins that I picked yesterday. So clearly people watch my stream, and clearly people spend, what was their volume? 52 million on Ondo and 40 million on Maple. Clearly that's all a result of watching Crypto Warehouse yesterday. Now, I'm going to start a new segment in the show. And I'm going to ask a question, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I'm going to ask a question, and that question is going to be answered at the end of the stream. So I'm going to ask a question at the start of the stream, and then we're going to finish the stream with the answer, or what I think, in my opinion, is going to be. So we're not starting it today. We're going to start on Monday. I'm prepping you now. That's one other thing. Now, let's get back into this. And they're going to be charts related. They're going to be coins related. It's not going to be a random question, 1,000 duck-sized bears or 1 bear-sized duck. It's going to be normal crypto questions. So keep an eye out of that. That's going to start on Monday, as the quizzes are also going to start probably from next Wednesday. As I said yesterday, I ran out of time in 2025. 2i operations and the Oracle being in Dubai for 2 weeks. We just didn't have enough time to get everything through. Right then, losers. We're going to run out of time today. I'm going to overrun on this stream. I know it. Not many losers today. Hype is down a touch. Zcash is down. Monero is down. I suppose one of my predictions for 2026 is going to be the death of privacy coins. I think both Zcash and Monero are going to finish the year a lot lower than they are now. That's just going to be one of my predictions as well. No losers today. It's a green day. We're good. We're good with green days. We want green days. Let's look at some X-Files, shall we? I think we're going to start this one with a thank you. A thank you to this man, I think we should begin with. My life has been a product of compound interest. Nothing more, nothing less, and nothing brilliant. Warren Buffett. Now, you all think you're geniuses. You buy a coin that you didn't do any research on, or maybe you did a bit of research on, but not a lot of research. Maybe you watched a couple of YouTube videos, and you buy a coin, and that coin goes up 300%. And you think you're Warren Buffett, which is the saying. And you cash out, and you take your money, and you walk around, you've got a cigar, you're happy. Now, this man can do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke, and has done it for 60 years. He is a value investor. He invests in companies that make things, make a revenue and make a profit. He invests in farms. He invested in Apple. He invests in many other products. He doesn't invest in gold. He doesn't invest in things that don't do anything, earn a yield. And he is the best. He is the GOAT. Okay? You can look at all of these Michael Saylors and Tom Lees. They're not even in the same chapter of the same book. Warren Buffett should be your number one starting point for reading about investing in crypto, in stocks, in shares, in anything, okay? Don't think that some guy with red hair and funky upside down glasses telling you to go and buy a cat and a dog is going to get you anywhere in life, because it's not, okay? And as for the second coming of Jesus Christ monad, don't know where he's gone either, but Warren Buffett should be your starting point. There is another book, I think it's called The Intelligent Investor, from about the 1920s to the 1930s. That's a good book to read. But Warren Buffett, he retired on the 1st of January. He is now no longer in charge. I think Charlie Munger passed away last year as well. So it's the end of an era, the end of a golden era of investments, and it is sad to see. Now, there's a lot of people out there making a lot of predictions on X. I want $1 million, I want $10 million, I want a yacht. Just remember, if you've got the majority of these things on your screen now, you are a lucky person. If your family's still alive, if you've got family living in the same city as you, if you can go to sleep on a Sunday night and not worry about a Monday morning, if you've got good eyesight, which I now have, having a roof over your head, enough to be able to buy a coffee, able to walk without pain, and believe you me, the older you get, the harder number 7 is. A warm shower every morning, absolutely. clean air to breathe, probably not possible everywhere around the world, and a good night's sleep without interruptions. That's happiness, okay? Everything you do on top of that is extra. That gain that you make on Bitcoin or Ethereum, that's extra. As long as you've got those things, they should be your priorities. Having a house for your wife and kids, or your husband and kids, or whatever it might be, that should be your priority. Now, back to crypto. 40% of all Bitcoin that will ever exist is on this list. This is the Hodl 15 Capital list. 8.4 million. Obviously, we've got Satoshi up there with 1.1 million. There's only 1 million left to be mined. Now, I think we mine, is it 41,000 a year? Something like that. So by the end of this year, there will be less than 1 million Bitcoin left to be mined out of 21 million. That's it. Coinbase is up there, BlackRock, Strategy, Binance, Wrapped Bitcoin. That's a little bit of a cheat, but we'll include it anyway. And then the US government. I think the UK government's down there in 20th position with 61,500. I pray every morning that I wake up that Rachel Reeves doesn't ever understand or is ever told about Bitcoin. I hope there is a civil servant somewhere in the halls of Whitehall that has a ledger and he is running around like Pac-Man being chased by the ghosts. I hope we never sell that Bitcoin. Germany sold it. Terrible decision. I think Holland sold theirs. Terrible decision. Grayscale is on there, and a few others. But again, that's it. 40% of all Bitcoin is on your screen there. And again, we can take off 5% for that. So 35% of all Bitcoin that currently exists is on that screen. And that's a scary thought. If you think about the number of people there are around the world, maybe we only get to 10% saturation point, which is what? Don't know what 10% of. Well, how many? Is there 8 billion people in the world right now? 6 billion? I don't know. I've lost count. It's all coming. We haven't had the Clarity Act yet. Once that comes, it's kind of like, okay, now it's free reign. So you can like what somebody has to say without liking everything they have to say. And Raoul Pal has been interviewed. I think one of these interviews was with a really good X account called When Shift Happens. I think he's called. He's a French guy. He interviews everybody at the minute. And basically what this is about is Raoul Pal is basically saying, even though we've got adoption, even though we've got to this stage with ETFs, we still don't have the legislation which allows for the major institutions to come and use crypto. The Clarity Act and the Genius Act. They're the two things. It's going to happen. And I think it's January the 16th. I think it's this close. So again, he's right. Just because we have a few people with a bit of Bitcoin, it doesn't mean we've got there. We've got another few weeks left. This could have been in December, but it got waylaid. Now it's in January. It's coming. Now, 2026 should be the year of buying tokens that make revenue and in turn a profit. Throw everything else in the bin. You don't always have to take everything that somebody says seriously either, okay? This is a point of showing you the DeFi protocols by fees generated in 2025. And there's a lot of names that you're going to recognize on this list that we talk about a lot. Jupiter is on there. Aster is on there. I'm not going to read them all out clearly. Radium is on there. Aave is on there. Athena is on there. There's a lot of very... actually, you know what? I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. There we go. Meteora is there as well. They had an airdrop November last year. Down here, you've got other coins. I'm trying to see. Aerodrome is down there with 172 million. Orca is there. Sanctum is an interesting one because they are the liquid staking tokens. So when you have BSOL, MSOL, Binance has got, is it BNB Sol? They're all powered by Sanctum over on Solana. Phantom is there. Phantom is making a fortune. Marinade is there. Camino is there. So there's a lot of names that we talk about on here. And we don't talk about them because we are paid to talk about them or anything else. We talk about them because of this very screen. This is the amount of money they make. Now, I guarantee you, if we added every single project on this screen here, I guarantee you they probably have less than 2,000 or 3,000 staff combined between them. 2,000 or 3,000 staff are generating billions and billions and billions in fees. From you, of course, don't forget that. But Camino Finance was nowhere. It's 116 million. Aerodrome is base related, 172 million. Phantom is a wallet, 326 million. These are becoming big entities on their own right and revenue generating businesses on their own right. So this should be the year of doing one simple thing. How do you make money? Okay, so you see a project looks great. It's got pictures of really famous girls, really famous women are involved in this project. They're all fronting it up. You've got the odd ex-American footballer in there with his dodgy shoulder, and they stand there and they say, come and buy Paradon. And you're like, that looks amazing. I'm going to go and spend $1,000 buying Paradon. Where does it make its money? Where does it make its money? How are those people being paid? Where is its revenue generated from? And if you can answer that question in 30 seconds, fine. If you can't, and there's a roadmap and there's a runway, and it takes 5 years for them to start turning a profit, at this stage, I'd walk away. I would walk away. Things need to be hitting the ground running in 2026. I think we've gone past the stage of 2023, 2024, talking about potential. We don't want to invest in potential anymore. Everybody's been burned. Altcoins have been losing against Bitcoin now for about, 3 years? It's not going to change. New crypto tax data collection comes across 48 countries ahead of the CARF 2027 implementation. So this is basically something which, of course, is going to happen more and more. These are countries where your crypto transactions will be monitored, especially your exchange transactions will be monitored. And I don't mean monitored on a trade by trade basis, but you have to understand that being in crypto does not give you carte blanche to never pay your taxes. You have to pay your taxes. You should rightly pay your taxes. Whether you agree with how that tax is spent is a different matter. So that comes in across many different jurisdictions, and that's going to happen for the next 2 or 3 years. It's going to roll out. Most countries are going to have it. Some countries are going to have tax laws which benefit crypto. Some countries are going to have tax laws which penalize you for trading in crypto. You just have to find the right way to trade. America, for example, if you hold an asset for more than a year, I think if you hold it for a year and a day, there is a certain tax bracket it goes into. Whereas if you hold it for 6 months, you pay a higher tax rate. So there's a few caveats knocking around. Now, Tether is now the 5th largest Bitcoin holder after buying yet another $876 million worth of Bitcoin. They bought 8,888 Bitcoin for the culture in Q4 2025, bringing their holdings to 96,185, worth $8.42 billion, becoming the world's 5th largest Bitcoin holder. Again, we talk about this all the time. Tether, Circle, USD One, Pax, we can talk about them all. They make a lot of money because they have a lot of money. For every $100 billion that Tether has got, they will make $4 or $5 billion a year in profit, or revenue, from that. That's what, $400 million a month? It's big money. They've done a lot of things with their money. They've bought gold. They've bought Bitcoin. I believe they've even made an offer to buy Juventus outright. So they're not just buying Bitcoin. This is only a portion of their revenue. So they've become the 5th largest holder, sitting at just under 100,000. They're easily going to get to probably 125,000 by the end of the year. That's probably, their target should be 105,000, because that would give them what? 2% of the supply, 1% of the supply, something like that. I don't know what it is now. But anyway, they'll have milestones. I think 125,000 by the end of the year will be their target. Again, Tether doing incredibly well. We're not going to talk too much about this one. This was just a very simple one to get us off the mark. We have far more exciting things to talk about on today's show. I am not keeping an eye on chat on Binance Square today. I had a fairly loose internet connection before the stream went live, so I've closed down as much as I can just to get us to where we are. I think we've just broke $90,000, which is very nice. Right then, Solana quietly dominates as network usage surges while Solana price stalls below $130. Crypto market started 2026 with a strong attention on Solana, even though the Solana price has been consolidating below $130 for weeks. According to recent on-chain data, whales accumulating Solana-related tokens was the most discussed trend in the market. Sol's network usage and transaction volume dominate despite low price action, suggests smart money is taking positions, which might soon result in a breakout of the Solana chart. Again, last year, I was bullish for the majority of the year, even when we were dipping during the various different events. I am not going to be that bullish for at least the first 5 or 6 months of this year. Any breakout that we see in Bitcoin, Solana, or Ethereum, or anything else like that, any breakout I think is going to be sold into. There are many, many things that can change my opinion, and that is what I will do. I will change my opinion. If Powell resigns today and Kevin takes his seat on Monday, I'm going to change my opinion. If there is a different set of rules being brought in for crypto that's going to allow X, Y, or Z to happen, I will change my opinion. But my opinion is this: from October until maybe May or June, I think we're down and to the right with a relief rally in between. As I said yesterday, that's my thesis for the first 6 months of the year. I think if we see a $150, $160, $170 Solana, which is only a 20 or 30% pump, it's not massive, I think that'll be sold into and we'll be back at 130. That's just my take at this moment in time. So when we read these things, we now need to read them with the context of the market that we are in. America looks bullish. The economy looks bullish. The inflation isn't going up as predicted. The GDP is going up higher than predicted. So all of those things look good. We've got the money printer turned on. But until we see a real return to higher prices for Bitcoin, if Bitcoin goes back above 100,000 and forms support above 100,000, then we can see an altcoin rally. But until that point, we'll get to 90,000 today and maybe be back at 88,000 tomorrow. We might get to 91,000 and be back at 89,000 tomorrow. I'm not going to believe anything that happens in the first few weeks of January. Volume is low. Traders are not back at their desks. People are still on holiday until at least Monday. Don't get trapped, as Akbar would say. According to an on-chain analyst, Cryptozaros, I wouldn't call him an on-chain analyst, Solana's rising trading volume hints at increasing usage and transaction among its investors. However, any breakout might trigger profit-taking sentiment among short-term holders. I agree, as revealed by the NVT data. Solana's network value to transactions ratio has been rising and is now at the highest level in 7 months. Now, what I would say about this is that much as people don't like Solana, and people don't like Solana, let me just remind everybody of one thing. Solana is 7th. If you take out USDC and USDT, it's the 5th largest cryptocurrency in the world. It's been there for 4 years, okay? It hasn't gone anywhere. You can call it a scam chain. You can name it backwards. We all know what it means backwards. You can say what you want about it. But facts are facts. Jupiter, Meteora, Orca, Camino Finance all make bundles and bundles of cash. Pump.fun makes bundles of cash. Degens go and play over there. Play on the casino, great. But what people overlook when it comes to Solana is the fact that the DeFi element of Solana is massive. You can earn really good returns on Solana. Where did Maple Finance go after Ethereum? Straight to Solana. Where will, should I say, the majority of the larger TradFi projects go after they launch on Ethereum? To Solana. Solana is where the action is. Now, you can hate on it as much as you want. You can have lost money on meme coins on Solana as much as you want, but this isn't going to go anywhere for the very, very near term. 4 to 6 years, Solana isn't going to go anywhere. And it dominates, as we've seen, it dominates the fees. Meteora, Jupiter, Orca, it dominates. Phantom, Solana wallet. So it's dominating, and you can call it what you want. It's making money. And if it makes money, it can spend more money to get out of whatever situation it ends up in. That's why Ethereum can do what it wants. It has so much money. Don't fade Solana because somebody on X got butthurt that Solana did better than Cardano. Okay? You are agnostic. You are Switzerland. Okay? If Solana looks like it's going to go up, you buy Solana. If you think Cardano is going to rally with midnight, you buy Cardano. Don't not buy something because a 12-year-old with spots on the internet told you that it was a scam chain. The XRP army got everything except the $5 price. Will 2026 deliver? It hit every major win in 2025. The SEC case was resolved. The spot ETFs were launched. The price crashed 50%. The price crashed 50%, with the $5 target remaining elusive. I think I had $5 to $7 for XRP, and we got to, what, 365. So what I would do, here's a good rule of thumb. I would knock off 25% of whatever price targets I give. If you did that in the last cycle, I think I'd have hit most of them, pretty much. And I think 366 was a good price for it to get to, but it was nowhere near where it should have got to. And again, we've covered those reasons before. Do I think it'll hit $5? I don't think it's going to hit $5 in 2026 either. Some of the bullish events happened, but it fell over 50%. But it fell over 50% from 366. It put in a new all-time high, and now it's retreated. I did really want XRP to hold $2. And as of streaming right now, we are at a mere $1.90, and we have been lower. I did want it to hold $2. I wanted it to hold $2.50. And we had, if you remember, we spoke about different prices for XRP, $2.75, $2.50, and then I said, worse, we don't want to go below $2. Now we're going to have to fight to get back above $2. The same with lots of these prices on here. Ethereum is going to fight at $3,000 for a long time. Bitcoin's lost $100,000. You know, we can pick the significant milestones. Cardano lost 60 cents. Cardano took a kick in more than anybody else. So XRP isn't on its own. Remember that. Not every coin in your portfolio exists in a vacuum. They are all affected by everything else. Bitcoin's come down 30%. What do we expect coins to do? If Bitcoin falls 30%, you're going to have to say, rule of thumb, everything comes down 50%. It pretty much did. So XRP, the price did not reflect the milestones in 2025. I kind of somewhat agree with that. This is what I talked about in my predictions for 2025, and that was a digital asset reserve. It was March, not February, like I said. That pumped it 30%. The executive order limited the stockpile to seized assets only, with Bitcoin favoured separately. So if you remember, we've got the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. That's what they were trying to change. That's now as it is, and it's not going to cost the American public a penny. So it's going to be seized assets or sold assets. This digital asset reserve has gone quiet. I've not heard anything about this for months, probably for at least 6 to 7 months. But again, this was pushed by Brad Garlinghouse. It wasn't pushed by an independent. And at the time, Cardano was mentioned as well, and Solana and a few others. And I think I said at the time, Brad lost a lot of respect with a lot of people when he pushed this. So, the case was settled on May the 8th. We've had the digital asset reserve in March. Price is absolutely flying. We're back at 270, 275. And then we were going to get the ETFs, which launched in November. So, the worst timing possible was Solana and XRP ETFs going live after the all-time high for Bitcoin. And that's what happened. And again, I'll take you back to what I said last year. If we want to see XRP and Solana really go for it, they need probably 3 to 6 months before Bitcoin hits its all-time high. And I said, we need these ETFs in March, between March and June. We got them in November. It was too late. We simply ran out of time. Rates didn't come down fast enough. The money printer never got turned on. And the ETFs go live the month after the all-time high. So they were never going to have an effect in the short term. Long term, look at what Ethereum did. Look at how the ETFs have transformed Ethereum. People are no longer talking about a $600 Ethereum anymore. We're still fighting at $3,000, which is a miracle in itself. The investment products have recorded inflows for 24 consecutive days. The cumulative is 1.06 billion with 1.14 billion assets under management. And remember what I've said about this again. These ETFs are like a full bath. You unplug a full bath of water and it will take time for it to drain away. And the ETFs sucking in the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, the Solana, the XRP, that bath has to empty. And it's not going to empty like that. It's going to take time. That's why I wanted it in March, April, May. That's why I wanted it early. Because I wanted to hit the end of the bull run with 3, 4, 5, 6 massive ETFs with all the big numbers. And we're getting it now after the Lord Mayor's Parade. So although the ETFs are draining, Crypto Wendio posted up last night saying the XRP the XRP reserves on exchanges is now historically at an all-time low. Bitcoin reserves on exchanges are getting towards all-time lows. Ethereum all-time lows. Doesn't take much longer for those to start to break the price to the upside. And I keep talking about this. Those baths have to empty, and they are emptying every single day that there are inflows into these ETFs. There are less and less XRP, Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin for you to buy. Because these people, they got diamond hands, bro. They got diamond hands, and they're going to buy it all. So don't lose faith too much. Now, moving on very quickly, we're going to talk a little bit about Chainlink and a few other things. Just keeping an eye on time. Making sure that we have got plenty of time. Yes, we do. 11:35, perfect. Right. Chainlink extends lead in on-chain finance as institution. I didn't mean to click that. There we go. Now, again, another one of my picks from yesterday is Chainlink. I've tried to pick coins outside of the top 10. That's what I've done. Chainlink, I think, is ranked 12th. Okay? So Chainlink is 12th. Hyperliquid is 14th. They're two of my picks. And then I think we're a long way further down for some of my coins that I have picked. But anyway, don't fade the link. Chainlink said it has strengthened its position as the industry standard infrastructure for on-chain finance as governments, banks, and asset managers increasingly adopted its technology to move real-world financial activity onto blockchains, according to a blog post published by the company on New Year's Eve. $27.4 trillion in transaction value, 1.2 million link stored in the reserve. We spoke about that yesterday. They've got a buyback. They're working with Swift, UBS, JP Morgan, MasterCard, Euroclear, Deutsche, S&P, Tradeweb, WisdomTree, FTSE Russell, many, many more. List of Chainlink milestones we're not going to go through. It emphasized that 2025 was an important year for its interoperability. Interoperability is the next big frontier for crypto. That's to basically allow Solana, Ethereum, XRP Ledger, Cardano to basically interact, to move funds from one chain to another. That's what it's all about, and that's what Chainlink can do. It has CCIP, interoperability, going from one place to another. Its Oracle does the same thing with prices. It provides prices on stocks, shares, and cryptos across all of the different dexes. So it's got everything it needs in place. Government use of blockchain infrastructure marked progress during the year. Chainlink said the US Department of Commerce partnered with the network to publish macroeconomic data on-chain using Chainlink's data feed sourced from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. Do you know what I have noticed? I've noticed there's an awful lot more YouTube videos being showed during a stream. And it's absolutely driving me potty. And I don't know how to stop it. So Chainlink co-founder Sergey Nazarov, one of the kind of... He's not a forgotten hero, but he's never been in the spotlight. He's not a Saylor. He's not a Tom Lee. He's not a Cathie Wood. But the guy has been working tirelessly, 6-8 years, just working solidly on this. He's gone to the White House. He's been involved with stuff like this. They're working closely with the administration that we've got now. What we really need to see out of stuff like this is we really need to see Chainlink being recognised by the industry. You know about Visa, you know about MasterCard. Most people don't know about Chainlink. It's the reason everything works. Put it that way. It's the reason that blockchains work and talk. It's the reason that you can buy your crypto. It's the reason that you see the prices in your different dexes. It is the reason that everything else can work. It's the oil. It's the cogs. It's whatever you want to call it. Now, again, we're not going to talk too much about this because, again, I want to make sure I can get through everything. We've got 3 articles to go. We've got 20 minutes. I'm going to crack on. But suffice to say, big year for Chainlink. Good year for Chainlink. 2026, probably going to be equally as big. With the rollout of stablecoins, which we're going to talk about now, Chainlink is going to be front and center. Stablecoin legislation, the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, everything combined, the push for stablecoins. Stablecoins need on and off ramps, and they need to be able to move through chains. That is what Chainlink does. Look at the name, Chainlink. It links the chains together. Can't say fairer than that. Now, yield-bearing stablecoins paid out over $250 million last year. Now, we, of course, cover Maple Finance, and they have a yield-bearing dollar. It is not a stablecoin, okay? Now, this is really important you understand this. This word here, which is stablecoin, that falls under the new acts that are about to be passed in America. You are not allowed to have Tether or Circle pay a yield on their assets because it's not allowed according to the new acts that are being passed. It's kind of like self-preservation of the banks. But there are such things as yield-bearing stablecoins. Now, much as we don't want to call Syrup USD a yield-bearing stablecoin, we know it's a yield-bearing dollar asset. You know it's a yield-bearing dollar asset. The market calls it a yield-bearing stablecoin. So there's not a lot I can do when I read these articles out. You have to understand it's not a stablecoin because the price doesn't stay the same. It's not a dollar. I think it's now $1.14. So it increases in value over time. That's why it's not a stablecoin. Yield-bearing stablecoins became one of the major trends. The vaults produced over $250 million in income. So that's not $250 million of TVL. That's $250 million worth of interest. The maturing stablecoin market, along with improved regulations, allowed for the creation of DeFi vaults with passive income. Demand for yield also created the market for yield curators, which has the potential to affect risk exposure. Stablecoins offer several approaches to passive income, including liquidity pools, lending, and risk-based vaults. Yield-bearing protocols with stablecoins have also spread to 110 chains, 495 apps with thousands of individual assets. It's become more diverse. The main ecosystems with yield-bearing stablecoins include Sky, Ethena, Maple Finance, as well as the tokenized BUIDL. I hate that word, BUIDL fund. The past year saw the expansion of smaller yield-bearing stablecoins. Out of a total of $314 billion in stablecoins, the specialized yield-bearing assets are valued at over $13 billion. SUSDS and Athena's USDE have survived both bull and bear markets, showing resilience. Now, what I would say about this, can we actually show you a list of yield-bearing stablecoins? Yield. Let's see what we can bring up. I don't know if we can, you know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was going to show you the list of them. I'll dig it out for tomorrow. The trick here is, and I've said this about Maple Finance. This isn't an advert for Maple Finance, by the way. This is just part of this conversation. Let's say you have $100,000 in Bitcoin and you think it's topped because the guy with red hair and sunglasses has told you it's topped. And you sell your $100,000 in Bitcoin and you sell it to USDC. It's going to sit there and do nothing. And inflation will eat it. 2%, 3% a year. Next year, your $100,000 is worth $98,000. You don't notice. 10 years down the line, it's worth 80% of what it was worth because your purchasing power has been deleted. So what you need to do is you need to find a way to earn a yield. 6%, 5%, 6.5%, whatever it might be. You need to earn a yield on your fiat. And Binance have got multiple options for this. There are multiple options in DeFi which carry the risk of your wallets being hacked. If you look at Trust Wallet at the minute, it's been drained for hundreds of millions of dollars. But you need to find a yield-bearing asset. Now, all you should care about, very simply put, is two things. The dollar doesn't go to the wall because that's going to cost you. Let's say you're sitting in London and the dollar is $1.30 and you've got your $100,000. So you've got £75,000, whatever it might be. The dollar goes to $2. Suddenly you've got £50,000. I think it works out that way. Whichever way it is anyway. I think you've got £50,000. You've lost a third of your money. So number one is the dollar rate against your currency. That's the first thing you need to worry about. And the dollar's the dollar. You're probably not going to lose out over the long term. The second thing you have to worry about is inflation. If inflation is 2% and you're earning 4%, winner, winner, chicken dinner. You're up. You're above inflation. You can keep earning your 4% or your 5% every year. And as long as that number stays above inflation, you don't lose your purchasing power. That's what you have to care about. Ground zero, day one. That's what you have to care about. Anything on top of that, fair game. You want to go invest in stocks and shares, fine. But as far as stable coins are concerned, the way I see it is they are your switch from crypto to fiat. You don't switch from crypto into your bank account that's paying you 0.5%. Because guess what? Inflation is 2%, and that's what their target is. So you're losing 1.5% of your money every year. What you want to do is you want to go to a stable coin. You want to go to a yield-bearing dollar that pays you 5 or 6%. Binance has, at some points in the past, had 8, 9, 10, 12% of special offers. Wonderful. Your goal is a minimum of matching your inflation. 2%. That's the minimum you have to get from your money. And that might not sound like a lot. You can say, Mike, I can go onto Camino Finance and get 9%. Yes, I know you can. But there are 99 people out there for every one of you who will put it in their bank and earn 0 or 0.5%. And they're the people that matter, because they're the people that are going to end up unable to put the heating on at night because they've got to 70 and their money's not worth anything. They're the people that matter, not you. You know how to inflation hedge. You know how to buy Bitcoin. You know how to earn from stable coins. You know all of these things. It's the other 99% that don't. They're the problem. They're the problem that needs to be fixed. Now, we're going to move on a little bit. Oh, good morning to Solo Sky. I hope you're doing incredibly well, Solo Sky. Happy New Year to you, sir. Now, we've got 12 minutes and we've got 2 articles to talk about. And then at the end, I want to go through the quizzes because it's January. It's a new month and therefore we have new quizzes. And also, we may or may not be saying goodbye to one of our sponsors, but we don't know yet. But I'm going to go through that as well at the end. So, very quickly, another one of my picks. And again, I didn't pick these articles out because they were my picks from yesterday. I would never do such a thing. These come from a news aggregator. And these are the kind of like, if 2 or 3 different news outlets are talking about the same thing, I normally include it in the stream. And that is Hyperliquid Explained, a deep dive into the perp DEX that reshaped crypto, in 2025. Now, there's a lot of people blaming a lot of the October 10th crash, or not October the 10th, whatever day it was, whatever day the crash happened, they're blaming it on Hyperliquid. Because if you look at the liquidations that happened, the majority of them were on Hyperliquid. I don't care, it's a DEX. If you lose your money, you lose your money. It's not Hyperliquid's fault. But they have kind of come out of nowhere. Luckily, a lot of people have made a lot of money out of Hype because they got in $12, $10 and things like that. I think they're going to do okay. The volumes that they do are going to do okay, and the profit they make is going to do okay. So I think they're around for the long term. So Hyperliquid is a decentralized exchange. Have to be very careful what I talk about in here because I stream on Binance Square. Technically, these are a competitor, but I'm interested in the Hype token, not the exchange. So it's basically Hype and Aster are basically DEX versions of Binance and others. That's what they are. It was built by Jeff Yan, a former trader at Hudson River Trading. He ran a market-making operation before turning his attention to exchange infrastructure following the collapse of FTX, which exposed the risks of centralized custody in derivatives trading. It runs on its standalone layer, blockchain rather than Ethereum or an existing rollup, and people use USDC on their network. There's no headquarters, no KYC, which is absolutely terrible, in my opinion. And it grew in the aftermath of SEX failures, which I don't think it did. I think it grew because the market could sustain it, in my opinion. Now, this is the monthly volume. Now, what I would pay attention to on this is not the fact that the volume is dropping. I would pay attention to the same thing I would pay attention to on Binance. How does this match up with the price of crypto? That's what I would say. Now, Bitcoin topped out at the beginning of October, but it was really pumping over the end of summer. It also pumped, if we go back to January, you'll see it had a peak, a little bit of a peak in January, then it fell off as the price of Bitcoin fell off, and it basically followed the popularity of crypto. So that's what I would read into that. I wouldn't say it's on its deathbed. December being the lowest month of the year is pretty standard because everybody's on holiday. So don't read into it that it's finished. Just read into it. This is a very seasonal chart. Look at other charts. Go and look at Binance's trading volume between January and December. You'll see a lot of seasonality in Binance's trading volume. That's just the way the market is. Now, this is what we're getting into. They had a token. It launched at the end of 2024. It was called Hype. It was an airdrop that favored users rather than investors. It's used for governance and network level functions, with protocol revenue largely directed towards buyback. That's what they're aiming at. Same with Aster. Maple's doing the same thing. There's a lot of projects. BNB does the same thing, but BNB is a buyback and burn. Some of these projects are buying back and putting it in the treasury like Chainlink. So keep an eye on that. Now, Hype's market performance drew attention as it absolutely ripped, as you'd expect. Now we've had somewhat of a dip. If I click that, yes. So it peaked, as you'd expect, not far off where Bitcoin was, just under $60. I remember saying clearly anything under $40 for Hype is a good price around this mark. And clearly, at $25, I think it's a good price. Here we go. So the competitors. These are the competitors as I see it. You've got Lighter, Aster, EdgeX, Hyperliquid, and Apex Protocol. They are your competitors in the DEX field. If you look at the volumes, Lighter and Hype and Aster, they've all got higher volumes in different aspects. But on a whole, if you look at the perp volume, for example, over the 30 days, which is the one that's on the screen now, Lighter is leading the way. But again, at one point, Aster was leading the way. So don't mistake airdrop hunting for real volume. There's a lot of wash trading going on, which is a terrible word to use. Lots of people don't like that word. Wash trading is where you just keep trading back and forth between two assets to try and build up volume. You know, if you want to hit $5 million on a platform, You don't need $5 million or $2 million on that platform to hit that. You simply need to trade $10,000 quite a few times. It's not that difficult. But I don't think Hype and Asta do that. I don't think Binance are people do that. I'm just saying it's something that goes on. So what I think will happen is I think Hyperliquid are going to have a good year. And I'm picking this one now. And again, could I have picked this one at the start of 2025? Yes. Did I trust it at the start of 2025? No. Do I trust it now after it's had its run-up and its retracement? Yes. And that might sound crazy. You'll hear people say, you know, I'm not going to buy Bitcoin at $90,000. I'm going to wait for it to go to $105,000 before I buy Bitcoin. And you're going to look at them and go, what are you talking about? And the reason is simple. If we are going to get a relief rally, all of those people that buy Bitcoin in that relief rally will buy it at 102 and 103,000. And then the price is going to come down to 80,000 and you're all going to get stung on the bottom, right? So sometimes it's never the best idea to buy an asset as it's on its run up. The best time to maybe get an asset that you think is going to do really well is when it's had like a pretty decent retracement. Now, I would say $60 to $25 is a solid retracement. But I'm not probably going to buy Hyperliquid until it goes somewhere between $15 and $20. And even then, we might not get there. Number one, we might not get there. We might all be wrong. Bitcoin could be $110,000 in a month's time. Could be wrong. That could happen. Hype could be back at $40. I could be wrong on that, of course. I'm giving you what I think is going to happen. But if we get the pump, we go to $35, $40, and then we have the pre-Powell resignation, Kevin appointed rate cut thing, then we could come back down to $15 to $20. But I'm not hanging my coats on these articles telling us that we're going to be at $260,000 for Bitcoin by the end of the year. I'm not hanging my coat on that. And I wouldn't hang your coats on that either. I would hang your coats on Bitcoin being between 90 and 100,000 by the end of the year. And I think that would be brilliant if we were. But if Bitcoin's at 90 to 100,000 by the end of the year, I'd expect Hype to be a little bit higher than where it is today because of the buyback and mechanism that's got in place. So I think it's going to have a good year, but I can't guarantee it. It's one of my 5 picks. Next and final article. Let's make sure I've got plenty of time. I think I'm going to run out of time here. 11:56. I am so going to run out of time. The next big wave, 2 new cryptos. The next big wave, 2 new cryptos set to dominate in 2026. I like these articles because it's either going to prove Marco to be a genius or Marco to be an idiot. So Marco, you're a genius or you're an idiot based on what you're about to say. And I have read this, by the way. So, what 2 assets are likely to do well in 2026? Now, I gave notable mention to Midnight in my stream yesterday. And I said, even though it doesn't make a profit, even though it doesn't make a revenue, keep an eye on it, is what I said. Keep an eye on it. I didn't say buy it. Keep an eye on Midnight. Let's see what this can do. Now, here's my theory. This is my conspiracy theory. Put my hood up. Charles realised that Cardano can't make it on its own. And Cardano has got a stigma of not doing anything and being slow. I think they built Midnight on top of Cardano to do all the things they wanted to do with Cardano. That's my conspiracy theory. So I think all of the DeFi stuff, the privacy stuff, the medical records, all that kind of stuff that Cardano is supposed to do, I think that's going to run through Midnight. I think they're going to create an interoperable wallet. I think it's going to connect up to multiple different blockchains. I think it's going to become a kind of wallet ID card. And I think that's what Charles is going to keep his eye on doing. As my conspiracy theory, so Midnight is working. It's only just launched. It's been live. December, it went live. So keep an eye on this. That's number one. One caveat could be that the broader privacy token sector remains volatile and highly sensitive to political shifts with strong competition. I also don't think Zcash and Monero are going to have a great 2026 either, by the way, but I don't think Midnight falls into that category. Now, again, as I've said, keep an eye on it. Don't just jump in because some guy with a beautifully curated stubble said, go buy Night. Keep an eye on it. Put a little check mark on CoinMarketCap to follow the token, so it'll notify you if the price changes. It's sitting at $1 billion, I think. It's only just gone live. I think it could do well. Now, the next one, the second one, is the Trump Media and Technology Group's DJT newly announced cryptocurrency. On December the 31st, 2025, it put out a press release. This is going to launch a token. It's a digital token. It's going to run on the Kronos blockchain. Again, what I would say about this, I don't actually know what it's called. Is it called DJT? I don't know what the name of the token is going to be, but it's going to launch. So, what I would say about this one is this. Having Donald Trump on your side is a double-edged sword. On one hand, he can do miraculous things. On another hand, he could actually take one of your arms off. Look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk stood next to Trump with his black eye and his baseball cap on, Doge roaring away, saving hundreds of trillions of dollars in the American economy for Donald Trump. Then they have a little bit of a spat, and then he said, she said, and they fell out, and all this. Maybe we can deport Elon Musk back to South Africa. You heard it all, okay? It's a double-edged sword being with Trump, and if you don't toe the line with Trump, you're out. Simple as. Now, you can agree with that. You can call him a tyrant. You can call him whatever you want, and many people do. Keep an eye on that token. I would have more faith in Knight doing well than this token doing well. But keep an eye on it because we don't know what it's going to do. We don't know how the value is going to be generated. We don't know how it's going to work. But it's going to be like a rewards token for people that hold different assets with Donald Trump. So keep an eye on that one. I am not going to back or bet against any Trump token between now and 2028. So for the next 2.5 years, I am pro-Trump coins because he's going to do everything in his power to extract value for himself. And if he's extracting value for himself, he's extracting value for you. We know about USD1. It's now on Binance. We know USD1 is going to grow. We know that the objective of USD1 is to buy back the World Liberty Financial tokens, and that's going to cause massive buy pressure the bigger that stablecoin goes. So I'm not backing against that token either. And don't be surprised if it hits 50 cents to a dollar. Then he said $50 then. 50 cents to a dollar. It's at what, 14 cents now? It's going to be a big one. And again, come 2029, 2030, maybe all of these tokens are dead in the water. Maybe. But keep an eye on it. This one was only announced 2 days ago. This one only went live in December. They are too early to do anything about, in my opinion. I farmed an airdrop for Midnight. I got myself a bag of Midnight. Very small bag, but I've got some. I don't have any of that token. I don't know how that token is going to work. I know nothing about it, but keep an eye on it. So I do agree with, I think Marco has pulled 2 good cryptocurrencies out there. Happy with Marco. And now, before we go, I need to do some finishing off. Let's close these windows down. You know what? Time does fly sometimes. I sit here and I think, I've got to get through an awful lot of stuff in an hour, and then somehow miraculously it happens. Right, it's January the 2nd. We have got to do a Maple Finance quiz. We have got to do a Wolfies quiz. We haven't done our Christmas quiz. We haven't done our New Year's stream. New Year's Day. No, so our New Year's, what was it going to be? Awards show. We haven't done that. So we've got a lot of stuff that's outstanding that we're going to try and catch up on. So the likelihood is we're going to do 2 or 3 quizzes this month. 3 consecutive Wednesdays, more than likely. That's the first thing. The second thing is we have reached out to Mew. Mew have been a sponsor of this channel for about 2 years. 2 whole years they've sponsored our channel. And we've reached out to them and said, you know, we've come to the end of December. Where do we go from here? Do you want to renew for another 6 months or another year? And we're waiting for a reply back on that. If they say yes, then that will be another quiz night. And then, therefore, we will do the Maple Finance quiz, we'll do the Wolfies quiz, we'll do the Mew quiz. If they don't renew, we are going to go and find another partner. Now, as I've said to you many times before, Tariq, Danny, KB, you've all heard the same things before. We don't pick the first people that approach us, because I don't want to sit here and promote a product that I don't like, simply put. So we are contacting, or going to start contacting, we're going to start contacting anybody that's in real world assets, anyone that's in stable coins, anyone that's in finance of a sensible size. We're going to contact them and we're going to try and bring on another partner. Either way, I think 4 partners is enough. I don't think I want to do 5 and 6 and 7 partners. And another thing I wanted to point out as well is, you may notice we never try and sell you anything. We never try and sell you an exchange. We never try and sell you to join Binance. We never try and sell you a product. We talk about Maple Finance. We talk about Wolfies. We talk about Binance. We talk about all these things. But we never try and sell you anything. And I like that. I like that. I don't think we're going to change from that. I don't think we're going to sit here and say, go and put $100 into this or $200 into that. I don't think we're ever going to do that. But what we might do, if we find an app that we like, and that app is free, we might suggest that you get a free version of the app. But I don't think we're going to do that either. And we haven't done that for a while. And I quite like that. I watch other channels. I watch them stream and I watch them talk. And every 5 minutes, they're mentioning another 4 or 5 character exchange. Go and sign up with ABCDE and you'll get $50 trillion free if you sign up and give them your passport and that kind of stuff. We don't do any of that. And I think we might stay that way. So I'm going to go and start making these videos. We've got about 5 or 6 videos to do. I'm doing an OG video on top of all those videos that I mentioned at the start. But have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you for watching to the end. 12:05. We've outstayed our welcome by 5 minutes. Thank you, KB, Solo Sky, Danny, Mary, Tariq, Hidden. Thank you for coming. I know it's close to New Year, so thank you. And I'll see you all on Monday. Take care.